Hey everyone, it's Matt Carl at LeRoy Heritage Museum, and today I'm actually in the museum and I'm in the research center upstairs, and I've been doing some work here since it's winter time in getting things organized from the previous year. Something that goes on behind the scenes at this museum and many other museums in the downtime is getting organized, and things come in pretty fast during the year, things that are donated, and so this is a time during the year then that we can catch up and get things into the proper archival boxes and get things organized, and they already get cataloged when they come in, but this helps us get everything sorted out. So you'll see things are pretty messy, and that is because this is the time of year we do that. So that is why we close in the wintertime. It gives us time to catch up. We don't have a staff here like many small museums, so it's a good time to take care of that. But what I thought I would do today is to take a look at some of the archival materials that we use in order to preserve things that come in. Many museums, at least all of the ones that are preserving things the right way, use the same types of materials to preserve their collections, whether it be research or whether it be museum collections. And I'm not sure that people outside of the museum world really understand how much money goes into buying this type of storage material in order to properly store things the way that they should be so that they can last for the long term. So I thought I'd give you an idea of the kinds of things that we use. So actually my point of the day here today is to change over the archival collection, and some of it anyway that hasn't been done, that's coming in the past year, and also textiles that we've had stored in acid-free plastic tubs. That's an idea of some right there. And the point is to change those things over into archival boxes. Now, for an example, in this box, which we have Oddfellows Regalia, Rebecca's Regalia. This, when we moved into the museum, we did go through and did work on getting things at least into a semi-good condition as far as storage. So things are wrapped in acid-free tissue paper and so on. Although things were moving pretty fast when we moved into the museum, so not everything got done. And for instance, this plastic bag is not acid-free, and there are some banners that have been stored in there that are going to come out of there and then go into these boxes right here. So these boxes I'll start with, and these boxes are textile storage boxes, and I should say first of all, we order all of our archival supplies through Gaylord, and it's an archival supply website. A lot of museums use that. There are other museums that use other companies and other products. You can certainly, especially if you're looking for something in particular that may not be at Gaylord, although Gaylord seems to have pretty much anything I've ever wanted to look for. But these types of materials you can get at Gaylord. You can just Google them. I think Gaylord Brothers or something like that, or Gaylord Archival, and you'll come up with this material. Now, this is not just for museums. You can get this material for your family collections as well, and lots of times a lot of people ask me what types of materials should I be storing my family materials in, and whether it be photos or documents or so on. And Gaylord is a good option, although Gaylord is sometimes pricey on things, but most archival supplies are pricey. And so they make several different sizes of textile storage boxes. It just depends on what you're wanting to store. If you have large military uniforms, they make large boxes for those, and so on. These particular ones are the ones I usually get. Forget what the size are, but they fit the metal shelving that we use pretty well, and I'm able to get as much storage out of a metal shelving unit as absolutely possible. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. If we walk over here into a storage room, right here we have things that have been stored right there, so that gives you an idea. Within those shelves, I'm able to get 3 or 6 on a shelf, just depending on how many shelves you have on the unit, but it works pretty well that way. So that's for textiles. As I mentioned, you can get all sorts of specialty type storage items. If you have a top hat, I mean, there's a box for a top hat, and there's special things you can get for just about anything. I usually try to keep it pretty simple because we have limited storage space, at least right now in this building, and all sorts of different crazy sized boxes wouldn't fit on our shelves too well. So try to get as much as I can into these boxes without crushing anything. So for instance, we'll take this right here and see what we can put into the box. Now, these banners aren't currently in tissue paper, and but they can be, and you can or don't have to necessarily use the tissue paper, but it does help with folding, especially if you're putting several things in the box. It helps with folding and keeping things from getting creased and so on. So this is a banner which is from the LeRoy Rebecca Lodge, and it should fit pretty well in here, which it does. And so I wouldn't pack this box full. You certainly don't want to do that because you'll be crushing the textiles in the box, and that totally prevents, or is opposite, I guess I should say, of the goal you have here, which is to preserve your items. So you put in here as many things, especially if they're light, as work, but you certainly want to put tissue paper between them, acid-free tissue paper, I should say, to make sure that things aren't getting damaged in the box. And so you want to try to keep from folding things a lot. So we have some clothing that will go in there, some regalia and so on, that's currently packed in tissue paper right now. And so I won't be able to get as much in a box like this as is in those, but I don't necessarily want as much packed in there either. I want to be able to separate things, label things, and know what exactly is being stored in each box. And I normally do that with a label maker. A label maker makes life so much easier, and it's a good way. You can also write on the boxes. The label maker labels seem to stay on for a good amount of time, but within time the stickiness probably will wear away and the label will fall off. But hopefully, if you're keeping an eye on your collection, if you start noticing something like that, you can remedy that situation before something like that would happen. So another type of box is over here, and this is more of a banker style box. You would put files in a box like that. You can put the regular letter-sized files in one direction, or you can turn it around and use the other direction and make it for legal size storage. And those are very similar in size to, for instance, there's a box down there, a banker style box like that. There's a few more over here. Those types of boxes. The difference is that those banker boxes that you buy from Staples are not acid free, so they're not going to preserve things for many years to come, and they're often not strong enough either. A box like these Gaylord boxes, of course you can get different ones, but the ones I like to get, they seal extremely tight on the top, first of all. So if you happen to be in an area where you're worried about critters getting into things or something, which hopefully you wouldn't be storing in an area like that anyway, but these boxes help to really seal things up tight. The boxes are also like double or triple reinforced. They have extra flaps that fold in, and they're much stronger than the banker style boxes. They'll stack more, they'll hold up better, and that's exactly what you want. You can get them also with hand holds on the side or without. This one has hand holds, but it gives you the option not to punch the hand holds in if you don't want to use it that way, or to punch the hand holds in. That's a good thing if you happen to be storing textiles or something in that type of a box that you want to protect from insects or something like that. That's a good way to keep things stored. In those boxes, you use something like these. These are acid-free folders. Again, this is not what you get at Staples. This is something totally different. Usually it has a reinforced top on it that you can write with. It's really intended for archives, and it's really good for that purpose. And it comes in boxes, usually of 100 or so, and it's just perfect for that. And then over here we have a couple of other boxes. These are more flip-top boxes, and these are good for the file folders as well. These are more for archives. The boxes flip up like that. This is a taller size. So back here, the taller size I usually use for photographs, something of like this one, which fits in there pretty well, but see, it's pretty tall, so it would not fit in the smaller box, but it fits well in the tall one. So regular archival type items I put in the small box, and the photographs I put in the tall ones. So that gives you an idea of what that's for. These boxes also have a pull string, usually on the end, although you can get them without, and that helps you pull them off the shelves where they're stored. And generally, it seems to make life pretty easy. So these boxes come in large shipments, pretty large boxes. At least that's how I order them. You can order them in small amounts as well, but typically when I order, it's usually in a large amount. And so if you're ordering in that kind of amount, they usually come on a tractor trailer on a pallet. So that gives you an idea at least of some of the types of boxes available and the types of things that we use to store materials. And I forgot to mention, all of these materials, except for the flip-top boxes, the corrugated ones, all come broken down, and you have to put them all together, which takes time to do that, but that's just something to consider. But they do work well for this type of a use. So anyway, that gives you an idea of the type of storage materials. Over here is something a little bit different than storage, and this is about labeling and things that get labeled. As far as museum pieces, I usually use these tags. Again, you can get different sizes, different types. You can get paper ones, you can get ones that don't rip, that are waterproof. There's just all sorts of things out there depending on how much you want to pay. I usually get these cardboard paper ones. They're, for what we do, these are pretty good. And then they come with string. If you want to pay a little bit more, you can get them with a string already tied on, which I have done at other times. This package is from a while ago that I ordered, but it's much easier if you get it with a string tied on, trust me, than if you have to tie every single string yourself. It's just worth the extra money to buy them that way, trust me. So those are some things available. Hopefully that gives you an idea of storing maybe not just museum collections, but your own family items, and also might give you an idea of what museums go through, this one and others, in storing items when we look for funding to help with projects like this, or to raise money for projects that we're doing. Keep in mind that this is the kind of material that we have to buy to preserve things the right way, and it costs a lot of money, and that's why we fundraise and we do the things that we do, and we certainly appreciate donations to the collection to make it possible to purchase these items, because you go to all the effort to collect items, and you certainly want to put them in materials that are going to help them last for a very long time and will protect them. If you really want to spend a lot of money, you can get boxes that have coatings on them that will protect them. For instance, if the pipes break in the ceiling or something, and you have boxes sitting around, particularly these flip-top boxes here, that water coming down will kind of beat up and run off of the box. It would help protect the material inside. That's certainly available. It's a neat thing that you can get. Of course, again, much more expensive to go that route. So anyway, that's a little bit about it. Here's the place we normally order from. Gaylord Archival is their website there. This is certainly not a sponsored video, but we've ordered thousands of dollars in material from them over the years to store things in, and it's just a good selection of stuff there. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.